So Tulsi Gabbard announced her 2020 run for president officially. She was in Hawaii, and she gave, honestly, a substance-packed speech. So I want to play you just a short clip from this, maybe 4 minutes or so. Take a look, and then we'll discuss.
We must fight for the soul of our country. Stand up against bought and paid for politicians who kowtow to special interests, selling their votes to the highest bidder. Where instead of draining the swamp, our president has turned it into a cesspool of corruption. We must stand up against big pharma and insurance companies who extort those who are sick, who put their profits above the health and well-being of our people. We have to fight to make sure that every single American gets the quality health care that they need through Medicare for all. We must stand up against the big Wall Street banks who gamble with our money and our future. Stand up against overreaching intelligence agencies and big tech companies who take away our civil liberties, privacy, and freedoms in the name of national security and corporate greed. We must stand up against those who pollute our land, our water, and our air. We must stand up against private prisons who are profiting off the backs of those who are caught up in a broken criminal justice system. A system that puts people in prison for smoking marijuana while allowing corporations like Purdue Pharma, who are responsible for the opioid-related deaths of thousands of people, to walk away scot-free with their coffers full. This so-called criminal justice system, which favors the rich and powerful and punishes the poor, cannot stand. We must join hands and stand up against those who perpetuate bigotry, hatred, and violence against our brothers and sisters because of their race, religion, or sexual orientation. We must stand up against this administration that claims to believe in America first, but who sells our troops, our weapons, and our interests to whichever foreign country is the highest bidder. We must stand up against those who dishonor our troops, treating them as political pawns and mercenaries for hire in wars around the world. We must stand up. Stand up against powerful politicians from both parties who sit in their ivory towers, thinking up new wars to wage, new places for people to die, wasting trillions of our taxpayer dollars, hundreds of thousands of lives, and undermining our economy and our security and destroying our middle class. Now, President Trump campaigned against regime change wars when he ran for president, but now he bows to the wishes of the neocons who surround him, clamoring for regime change wars that he claimed to oppose, this time in Venezuela and in Iran. These powerful politicians dishonor the sacrifices made by every one of my brothers and sisters in uniform, their families, as they are the ones who pay the price for these wars. In fact, every American pays the price for these wars that have cost us trillions of dollars since 9/11. Every dollar that we spend on regime change wars or on the new Cold War and this nuclear arms race is a dollar coming out of our pockets. Dollars that should be used to address the very real urgent needs of our people and our communities right here at home.
Goddamn. I think Tulsi Gabbard realized something. I think she realized that she is not getting a single break from mainstream media. In fact, they just, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? there was a story from NBC about how Russia has a preferred candidate in the Democratic race, and it's Tulsi Gabbard. And then they say that there's all these Russian bots supporting her on Twitter. Well, come to find out, and Glenn Greenwald did a fantastic breakdown of this, it's utter nonsense. They're using this group that was just actually called out by the New York Times, of all people, believe it or not, of all outlets, where the New York Times said they were caught fabricating Russia stuff to help the Democratic Party. Well, that's exactly what's happening here. They're pretending like, what a dumb smear. Of all the things to try to smear somebody with, that's what you go to? Like, you just fucking... Is it just always default to Russia and don't even try to connect dots or make it sound somewhat scary or weird? Like, really? That's the thing that we're all supposed to be... Oh my god, Tulsi Gabbard. She's canceled because Russian bots were supporting her. Well, like I just described, first of all, they weren't. But second of all, even if they were, like, as if that's like that's it. Now everything she says about corruption and legalizing marijuana and raising taxes on Wall Street, like, that all that's stupid and dumb now. It's just like they're not even trying with their smears. They're really, really shitty smears. This group has already been discredited by the New York Times of all people. You have these groups that have shady funding from different like neocon think tanks or defense contractors, and all these candidates who would come out actually against war, they just get smeared nonstop as like, oh my god, you're with the enemies. It's just it's McCarthyism all over again to try to use that as an attack. Like, Russia likes Tulsi. Bleh. It's just so stupid. But anyway, she knows that she's not going to get any support from any corner of the establishment media. So you know what she decided? This is what it looks like to me. She decided, I'm just going to go all in with running a solid campaign and reaching out to the people. I'm going to go all in with saying what the American people want to hear, and I think that'll help me. Because it's not like the media is the best at controlling the narrative. I mean, they're going to hammer this home till the cows come home. They're going to try to force Kamala on you in 39 ways. But, they tried to force Donald Trump away from us, and it didn't work because their attacks were so hacky. So it's not like they're the end-all, be-all. So what she's done is, it looks like to me, she accepted it, and she's like, I'm just going to run this campaign with zero fucks to give about what the political class thinks of me, and this will make the people like me. And so this is the boldest... I mean, the speech was incredible. So she went after corruption, she went after big pharma and insurance companies. By the way, what are the chances that a politician like Cory Booker would do that? Zero. She said clearly, I'm for Medicare for all, let's end Wall Street recklessness. She said, and this is something I haven't even heard from Bernie or Elizabeth Warren, she went after the intelligence agencies and big tech, and she said they take away our privacy for, quote, national security. That sounds like she's going after the Patriot Act, and she's like, the Patriot Act's bullshit. She slammed private prisons. She spoke about how people are in prison for marijuana, and they shouldn't be. And then she went after Trump very clearly and said, he says America first. That's America first my ass. He's selling us to the highest bidder. And that could be a reference to either Israel or to Saudi Arabia. And then she said she slams regime change wars that are perpetrated by, quote, both parties. And she even brings up Venezuela and Iran. See, that to you and me, that's just good. But in the context of a politician who's in Washington, D.C., that's like, oh my God, I can't believe you just said that. Because if you'll notice that, especially when it comes to Venezuela, even Bernie and AOC are walking on eggshells, and they're like, I don't know, And here's why, by the way. I think it's because they're accused day in and day out of like being hardcore socialists, not social democrats, but like post-capitalist kind of socialists. And I just don't think they are. I think they're just social democrats. But the number one accusation against them is that you're socialists and you're like dictator lovers and you love authoritarians. And so they don't want to be seen as actually siding with Maduro. They don't want, because then people are going to go, see, we always slam the Democrats as like their ideal system being Venezuela, and now we know that people like Bernie and AOC, their ideal system is Venezuela because they're defending Venezuela. They're defending Maduro. So I think they're so aware of that, and they're afraid of the backlash from that they're like not being as forthright on this issue as they should be, because the fact of the matter is, it doesn't even matter what you think of Maduro. That doesn't matter at all. You can stand on principle against the U.S. doing illegal coups. Like, you don't even need to bring Maduro into the conversation to say, hey, listen, on principle, I don't think we should be able to willy-nilly violate international law. And that's what AOC and Bernie should be saying. And, I mean, they've tipped their hand to say, yes, I'm against this, but they haven't really been upfront about it. Like, Bernie did this whole tweet storm where he was like, okay, Maduro's horrible, he's the worst, he blah, 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 and oh yeah, by the way, we shouldn't do what we're doing here. Okay, and then AOC, all she did was retweet Ro Khanna's statement on it, where Ro Khanna was strong and against intervention in Venezuela and backing the illegal coup. But here you have Tulsi Gabbard, she sees an opportunity here, she says, I'm putting this front and center. Stop doing what you're doing to Venezuela, stop, potentially going towards regime change in Iran, as all of your moves in recent years have been towards that, with pulling out of the Iran deal and sanctioning them, even humanitarian goods and medicine. So I think that this tells me she's going to be a force to be reckoned with, which is why my next point is, listen, Bernie's my number one, so stop fucking around and jump in the race. But the rest of the field is starting to crystallize. As of right now, it looks like you got the people who are representing the more left side of the spectrum in this race. It's going to be Bernie when he jumps in, Elizabeth Warren, and Tulsi Gabbard. So we'll see. We'll see what happens moving forward. But I thought that this speech was wonderful, and it was incredibly substantive.